Hello, church family and friends. It's 2 Minute Tuesday. Actually, this week's video is probably going to be a little longer than 2 minutes, but you may have noticed I missed last week's video, so you're getting 2 for 1 today. Last week marked the beginning of Lent, a 40-day season in which Christians around the world reflect on Jesus' journey to the cross and reflect on what it means to follow Jesus. So with that in mind, my next few videos will focus on the relationship between Jesus and his disciples and the things that the disciples experienced as they followed Jesus. Here's the account of Jesus calling his disciples from the Gospel of Matthew. As Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw 2 brothers, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. "Come follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you out to fish for people." At once they left their nets and followed him. Going on from there, he saw 2 other brothers, James son of Zebedee and his brother John. They were in a boat with their father Zebedee, preparing their nets. Jesus called them, and immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," he told him, and Matthew got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out impure spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. These were the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James son of Zebedee and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. Commentators agree that Jesus called the most unlikely, unqualified candidates to be his disciples. The list of disciples includes guys who had failed out of school and were therefore just working the family business. There was a guy who was a collaborator with his people's pagan occupiers and oppressors. There were people who had parted ways with the religious establishment, who were sinners. One of Jesus' disciples was an anti-government insurgent, basically a terrorist, and of course, one of them was the man who would eventually betray him. There were a lot of reasons Jesus shouldn't call these guys as disciples. But they had 2 things going for them, just 2. Jesus called them, and they said yes. We come to Jesus unqualified. We have all kinds of things about us that probably should disqualify us from counting ourselves amongst Jesus' disciples. And yet, Jesus calls us, and it's actually his call that qualifies us. And where he calls, Jesus equips. You'll notice in this passage that Jesus gives the disciples authority. He gives them the ability to engage the ministry to which he calls them. And he does the same for us. He equips us by giving us the fellowship of believers, our fellow disciples who support us and train us and work alongside us. More importantly, he qualifies us by giving us his Holy Spirit who equips us and empowers us. So Jesus calls us. All that's left for us to do is to say yes.